Good afternoon, dear venerable monks from all the temples in Ottawa who are gathered here, High Commissioners, diplomatic staff, our devotees and well-wishers. I think everyone is leaving everything to me to just talk about, but I think I'm actually going to talk about the relevance and solutions of the Tripitaka, in other words, Buddhist teachings, Pali Buddhist teachings, to modern-day issues to the best of what I can do in these few minutes. You know, global warming, financial problems, embryonic cell stems, they were not the issues at the Buddha time. On the other hand, sexism, war, abortion, and all these new issues, they were issues 25 centuries ago. Then what does Tripitaka or Buddhist teachings have to deal with the modern day issues? Let me start my presentation based on an aspect of Patisampada, as some of the monks earlier talked about. In Buddhism, we believe that every effect has a cause. But it doesn't mean that we always have to go back to the cause. Sometimes mostly we have to look at the cause, but sometimes we have to focus on a kind of result-oriented perspective as well. But issues like, the modern day issues, I will actually explain to you a couple of issues based on the time. We have to deal with mostly from Patisampada perspective. At the same time, some other newer perspectives as well, solutions as well. Now, in Buddhism, all across, Buddhist traditions, we believe that the middle path is the only path to freedom, which is called Majjhima Patipada. Now, Majjhima Patipada being the only spiritual path to freedom, not only talks about a way to Nibbana, but also talks about a very balanced life. Now, as you can remember, as you can reflect on this teaching, Buddha talks about two extremes. If you are too less and if you are too much about anything, that's going to be a problem. And I think most of our personal issues and global level issues come from this imbalance. So that's one of the biggest things that we can reflect upon from the Tripitaka of Buddhist teachings. Number two is happiness and unhappiness issue that's being long discussed by most of the religious and philosophical and modern day people. As you know, in Buddhism, Buddha asks us to look at within rather looking at the external factors to find your long-lasting happiness. Now, what happens to us is that we always complain and blame for the external factors. We rather do not maintain a perspective to look within so that we are in trouble. So all the sutras in Tripitaka ask us to look at the within reasons or to see where you will start, where you're struggling, so that you can see these are the causes of my pain, my suffering, my unhappiness, so that we can find a real way out. So that's the second type of thing that I want to mention to you. Third, it is about compassion. Nowadays, in the world, you can see that compassion is something which affects most of us. Even though a lot of people are getting up to mindfulness, but they don't maintain this compassion perspective at the same time. Like a shooter might be very mindful to shoot other people too, right? Planning, strategic planning, But at the same time, we have to maintain this compassion, self-love. I think a lot of people, they are losing self-love with this material, excessively overly materialistic lifestyles, both in the West and the East. So that's why a lot of people are into substance issues. That's why a lot of people are into suicidal mentalities. That may be why a lot of people do not respect gender, equality, right? So all these issues come from this lack of compassion, which is a fundamental perspective from Buddhism, which I identify as karma. And also the freedom, as High Commissioner mentioned to all of us, Buddhist teachings, which we call the Tripitaka, has the best form of freedom from the suttas themselves. In the Vimansaka Sutta of Majjhima Nikaya, Buddha asks us to investigate his state of Buddhahood. I'm not trying to compare other religions, other philosophies with Buddhism, but there is the full-fledged, deepmost freedom that we can see. It doesn't mean that we can overly question anybody. In Buddhism, it does mean that we all have freedom to think, to express our ideas. If we don't think that this doesn't make sense, then we have always a choice. So then that freedom is always there across all the books in Tripitaka. What about environmental, teachings of Buddhism? Buddha said trees and plants have one faculty, right? They have one faculty. So if the monks or monastics going to destroy trees or plants, they're gonna make a mistake. They're gonna make a breachment of one of the rules in the Vinaya, actually. And Buddha once said, "Vanang chindata marukha," cut down on defilements, akusalas, but not the trees or the plants. So he was really, really into caring of the environment, actually. And at that time, I guess there were no problems like global warming or such things. But still, we can kind of like take a look at how these teachings can fit into problems. And also, we can talk about economical teachings of Buddhism. Buddha always talk about how can one be economical, how can one have a healthy financial style. Even though we cannot link stock market finance and banking stuff with Buddhism, but we can see a wise perspective in consuming your financial things as well as at the personal level as well as at the global level. What about the teachings of politics? It's not about that Buddha asked everybody to engage in politics, but he was talking about accountability, transparency, anti-corruption, leadership. In many suttas, like Chakravarti Siddhanta Sutta, he was talking about a universal monarch concept. How can someone called universal monarch, a king of kings, can rule over the whole universe? And then he was talking about how can someone not misuse the public money in suttas like Pudadanta, right? So it's not the time to talk about all these in detail. Anyway, it's good to you read when you have time. What about the teachings of Buddha towards conflicts, resolutions, war? Textual Buddhism, I'm not talking about the local Buddhism of South Asia and other countries. Textual Buddhism presents us many insights about not having conflicts over anything. But as you can see, in some countries, they are making some different, justified reasons to have war, but textual Buddhism has no point, no support you for going to war. But there are some debatable, contentious, things that somebody has to think about war. But textual Buddhism doesn't allow us to have any war, any conflicts with other people. All the time, one has to find out peace, and then peaceful ways to solve any issue, any problem. Peace is the first approach, not the kind of purified kind of conflicts or war. So all in all, you can see how relevant and how pragmatic and how practical are Buddhist teachings. Even though the Sri Lankan government proposing Pali Tripitaka from Sri Lankan side to be promoted, that Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, they all have their own canonical versions, which may have some extended numbers of books. For example, I know in Thailand and in other countries, Khuddaka Nikaya, the minor texts have different other books too. but there's a wide acceptance of the Sri Lankan Pali canon, because Sri Lanka is the first country where the oral Dhamma matters, oral canon was canonized and codified, compiled into the books. So anyway, this is a great add-in. On behalf of Ottawa Theravada Buddhist Vihara and Venerable Lanka Thero and devotees, I would like to thank you for the Sri Lankan government as well as the reps of the government in here, High Commission and the staff. At the same time, it is always a pleasure for being able to host this event as one of the hosts of this event. Thank you so much, and have a great evening.